The year is 1975. The heat of a humid August night hung heavy over Cumberland, Indiana, a town where life usually moved at a slower, more predictable pace. For three young friends, Kathie, 14, her sister Sheri, 11, and their best friend Kandice Smith, 13, the night crackled with a different kind of energy, the thrill of newfound freedom and the anticipation of a night out. Their destination was a popular teen hangout spot, a beacon of music, laughter, and the promise of a good time, a world away from the watchful eyes of parents and the routines of everyday life. Little did they know, their pursuit of an evening of carefree fun would lead them into unexpected challenges, forever changing their lives and making their story a part of local history. The idea had sparked like a match in the summer night, a daring adventure that promised to elevate their night from ordinary to extraordinary. They would hitchhike. The thrill of rebellion, the sense of independence, it pulsed through their veins like an electric current, momentarily eclipsing any lingering doubts or warnings whispered by cautious adults. They could have walked, a chorus of practicality now echoing in their minds. But the allure of the open road, the wind in their hair, and the ease of a ride proved too tempting to resist. And so, with a mix of nervous excitement and youthful bravado, they ventured out, three silhouettes against the twilight, their laughter echoing through the vast expanse of the Indiana night, unaware of the unexpected turn their adventure was about to take. The headlights of a white station wagon sliced through the darkness, a beacon of hope in the stillness of the rural road. Inside, a man sat behind the wheel, his features obscured by the shadows, his intentions unknown. He pulled over, offering the girls a ride, their youthful naivety blinding them to the potential risks. With a mix of relief and anticipation, they piled into the front seat, their laughter and chatter filling the confined space, their innocent joy a stark contrast to the uncertainty that lay ahead. The initial relief of securing a ride quickly turned into a wave of unease as the girls realized their driver had bypassed their intended destination. The once comforting hum of the engine now seemed to throb with an ominous rhythm, each passing mile marker a reminder of their growing distance from the familiar lights of town. Their light-hearted chatter faded, replaced by a tense silence broken only by the man's unsettling words. He wasn't taking them to the hangout spot. He was taking them somewhere else, somewhere isolated and unknown. His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications, and the girls, their youthful innocence shaken, found themselves in a situation they couldn't control, their fears growing in the darkness of that car. Fear gripped the girls as they realized their predicament. They were trapped. Frantic hands reached for the door handles, but their fingers met only smooth metal. The realization struck them. There were no handles, no way out. The car, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, had become a place of confinement. The man's demeanor changed, revealing a stern and unsettling presence. His voice, firm and commanding, delivered clear instructions: do as he said, or face the consequences. Their youthful defiance faded in the face of his commanding presence, their pleas for help drowned out by the sound of the engine and their own anxious thoughts. Their captor was in complete control. The station wagon lurched to a stop, kicking up dust that swirled around them like a macabre dance. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and the rustling of unseen creatures, a symphony of nature's sounds now distorted into a terrifying soundtrack to their nightmare. They were surrounded by a sea of corn, its stalks towering over them like menacing sentinels, their once familiar forms now warped into grotesque shapes in the darkness. The man, his face a mask of cruelty, brandished a knife and a gun, tools of terror that glinted ominously in the moonlight. Brutal efficiency marked his actions as he bound their hands with rough rope, their struggles futile against his superior strength. Sheri, the youngest and most vulnerable of the three, became the focus of his attention. His actions were a grotesque perversion of humanity. Her cries, muffled by the cornstalks, tore at the hearts of her sister and friend, their own fear amplified by their inability to protect her. They were living a nightmare, each second an eternity of fear and pain. His rage, fueled by a darkness they couldn't comprehend, found a new outlet in violence. The glint of the blade in the moonlight was followed by the pain as he used the knife, again and again, a frenzy that defied reason. Each wound was a testament to his cruelty, a physical manifestation of the terror that had gripped their hearts. As their strength ebbed away, their senses began to fade, the boundary between nightmare and reality blurring into a haze of pain and fear. With a final, chilling glance at his handiwork, the man melted back into the night, the engine of his station wagon a fading growl in the stillness. He left them there, hurt and alone, beneath the uncaring gaze of the moon. The silence that followed was deafening. It was the silence of shock, of unimaginable pain, of the chilling realization that they were alone, abandoned in a field of horrors, their youthful dreams lying shattered like broken promises. The silence of the cornfield, still heavy with the echo of their attacker's presence, was broken by a sound that sparked a flicker of hope in the darkness. Kandice's voice, weak but determined. She had somehow managed to regain consciousness, her young body fueled by adrenaline and a primal need to survive. Through the haze of her own pain, she saw Kathie lying nearby, her body still. Mustering a strength she didn't know she possessed, Kandice dragged herself towards her friend, her own wounds a testament to the ordeal they had endured. Sheri, their younger companion, was nowhere to be seen, the possibility of her absence adding a new layer of concern to their already desperate situation. News of the attack spread through Cumberland like wildfire, transforming a peaceful summer night into a scene of chaos and fear. The image of the three young girls, their faces reflecting the unimaginable ordeal they had endured, sent shockwaves through the community, shattering the illusion of safety that had once defined their small town. Parents held their children a little tighter, their hearts heavy with a mixture of sympathy for the victims and a chilling realization that this could have happened to anyone, their own children. The idyllic facade of Cumberland had been irrevocably shattered, replaced by a palpable sense of vulnerability, the chilling realization that danger could lurk even in the most unexpected of places. The cornfield, now a crime scene, was swarming with law enforcement officers, their every move scrutinized by a community desperate for answers, for justice. Every blade of grass, every discarded cigarette butt, every footprint in the dirt was meticulously examined, each piece of evidence a potential clue in the search for the person responsible. The investigation, however, was hampered by the limited technology of the time and the inherent challenges of a crime scene exposed to the elements. Leads were followed, suspects interviewed, but the trail seemed to run cold, leaving the community and the victims' families with more questions than answers. Frustration mounted as days turned into weeks, the fear of the unknown compounded by the lack of progress in the investigation. The person who had caused so much distress remained at large, a reminder that justice was not always swift, nor was it guaranteed. Section 4 Whispers of the Indiana Slasher. As the investigation stalled, a sense of unease settled over Cumberland, a collective holding of breath as the community waited for answers that seemed elusive. The media, eager for a story that captured the mystery of the crime and the fear that had gripped the town, dubbed the unknown assailant the Indiana Slasher, a name that sent chills down the spines of anyone who dared to utter it. The name itself evoked images of a hidden threat, of someone lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike again. It became a whispered warning, a chilling reminder that danger could wear many faces, could be hiding in plain sight. The legend of the Indiana Slasher, born out of tragedy and fear, became a dark chapter in Cumberland's history, a chilling reminder of the night innocence was lost and a community forever changed. Section 1. Scars that ran deep. The physical wounds from that night in the cornfield gradually healed, stitches giving way to scars that served as a constant, tangible reminder of the ordeal they had endured. The emotional scars, however, proved far more challenging, burrowing deep into their psyches, casting long shadows over their lives that even time struggled to erase. Nightmares disturbed their sleep, vivid and relentless, transporting them back to that cornfield, forcing them to relive the fear, the pain, the utter helplessness of that night. The world, once a place of wonder and possibility, now felt threatening, filled with unseen dangers lurking around every corner. Trust, once freely given, became a fragile thing, easily broken, difficult to repair. Section 2. A Life Interrupted. Kathie, feeling responsible for suggesting hitchhiking that night, became more reserved, the weight of her decision a burden she couldn't easily forget. School, once a place of joy and friendship, now felt overwhelming, a constant reminder of the carefree life she once enjoyed, a stark contrast to the worry and unease that now filled her days. She left school, seeking comfort in the familiar surroundings of her home, but even there, she couldn't escape the memories, the constant thoughts of what if that echoed through her mind. Kandice, her once vibrant spirit now subdued, struggled to reconcile the carefree girl she once was with the worry that now shadowed her every move. Social gatherings, once a source of delight, now filled her with unease, the laughter and chatter of others grating on her nerves, a constant reminder of the joy that seemed so elusive. As weeks turned into months, the initial flurry of activity surrounding the investigation waned. The leads grew cold, the tips dwindled, and the hope that had once burned brightly in the hearts of the victims and their families began to flicker and fade. The police, their resources stretched thin and faced with the frustrating reality of a crime with few witnesses and even fewer clues, shifted their focus to other cases, leaving the girls and their families feeling forgotten, their pain dismissed. The files, once filled with promising leads and theories, were relegated to a dusty corner of the police station, a testament to the often heartbreaking reality of justice delayed, of cases gone cold, of victims left to grapple with the knowledge that their case might never be resolved. The weight of this injustice settled upon them like a shroud, a constant reminder that their nightmare was far from over, that the person who had so profoundly affected their lives remained free, their actions unpunished, their very existence a chilling threat that hung over their heads. Kathie refused to let the case fade into obscurity. Driven by determination, she became their advocate. Kathie was a constant presence at the police station. She demanded updates, clinging to hope. Years turned into decades, but her resolve never wavered. Kathie carried their story with quiet strength. Forensic science held the potential to breathe new life into their cold case. DNA technology was about to become the game changer. The year is 2019. The world has undergone a technological revolution, but for Kathie, Kandice, and Sheri, time seems to have stood still. The passage of decades has done little to ease the memories of their shared experience, the lingering concern that their case remains unresolved, a reminder of the night their lives were changed forever. Unbeknownst to them, in a state-of-the-art forensic lab, a team of dedicated scientists are working tirelessly on their case, their meticulous work fueled by a commitment to justice and the transformative power of DNA technology. Evidence collected from the scene, long thought to be useless, is carefully analyzed, each strand of DNA a potential key to unlocking the mystery of the Indiana slasher's identity. The tireless efforts of these scientists, combined with the unwavering determination of a cold case detective who refuses to let the case grow cold, are about to bring the past back to life. Detective Sergeant David Ellison, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for cracking the toughest cases, had inherited the Indiana slasher case, a file that had landed on his desk like a challenge, a promise to never let the victims fade into the annals of unsolved crimes. He pored over the case files, immersing himself in the details the events of that night in 1975 seared into his memory. He saw not just a file number, but 3 young girls, their lives forever changed by a senseless act. Ellison knew that DNA technology was their only hope. He submitted the evidence, praying for a match, for a name, for anything that would bring closure to the victims and their families. The wait was agonizing. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Just when his hope began to dwindle, the phone rang, the voice on the other end delivering news that would send shockwaves through the small town of Cumberland and beyond. The DNA results were conclusive. They had a match. The Indiana slasher had a name, Thomas Williams, a career criminal with a history of violence. The news was a bittersweet victory, a mixture of relief and renewed pain. The person who had haunted their dreams for decades finally had a face, a name they could attach to the horrors of that night. But the victory was a hollow one. Thomas Williams was no longer alive, having passed away in a police incident during a bank robbery in 1983. He would never face justice, never have to answer for the pain he inflicted, the lives he affected. The news sent a wave of shock and anger through the community, a collective gasp of disbelief that the person who had haunted their town for decades had been living among them, hiding in plain sight. For Kathie, Kandice, and Sheri, the news of their attacker's identification brought a strange mix of emotions. Relief that the mystery was finally solved, that the person responsible had a name. Frustration that he was never held accountable for his actions, that he passed away without ever having to face the consequences. They decided to meet, to share their grief, their frustration, their bittersweet relief. The years melted away as they sat together, their bond forged in the crucible of shared experiences, their strength and resilience a testament to the indomitable human spirit. They spoke of the challenges that still affected their lives, the fear that lingered in the shadows, the frustration that simmered just beneath the surface. But they also spoke of forgiveness, of the need to let go of the negative emotions that had consumed them for so long. They realized that true justice wasn't just about punishment, but about reclaiming their lives, their stories, their power. They refused to let the actions of one person define them any longer. The identification of Thomas Williams as the Indiana slasher didn't erase the pain of the past, but it did provide a sense of closure, a vital step on the long road to healing. They had a name, a face, and the knowledge that their troubles could no longer haunt them or anyone else. It was a bittersweet victory, but a victory nonetheless. Their story, once lost in the annals of unsolved mysteries, became a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of never giving up hope, and the transformative power of forgiveness. The Indiana slasher case, though forever etched in the history of their small town, no longer held them captive. They were survivors, their spirits unbroken, their voices finally heard. Their journey was far from over, but they had taken the first steps towards a brighter future, one where fear no longer held them back, and where they could finally begin to heal. The news of Thomas Williams' identification crashed over the women like a tidal wave, leaving them breathless on the shores of a truth they'd sought for nearly 5 decades. There was a name to the face that had haunted their nightmares, a confirmation that their instincts had never failed them, even when the world doubted their memories. Yet, with this revelation came a profound and unsettling emptiness. Thomas Williams was no longer alive, his life ending years earlier, robbing them of the chance to confront him, to demand answers for the fear that had shadowed their lives for so long. The justice system, designed to deliver retribution and closure, could offer no solace, no measure of punishment that could balance the scales of their suffering. The knowledge of his passing, while a relief in its own right, knowing that no other innocent souls would fall victim to his actions, brought a fresh wave of grief. It was a grief not only for their stolen innocence, but for the lost years spent grappling with unanswered questions, for the phantom of their attacker that had loomed so large in their lives, shaping their choices, their relationships, their very sense of self. The weight of this bittersweet victory settled upon them, a heavy mantle woven from equal parts relief, anger, and a profound sense of loss for a future where they could confront their attacker and demand accountability for his actions. Kathie, Kandice, and Sheri navigated an unfamiliar landscape of emotions. The truth had come to light, offering no easy answers. Their identities were forged by love and resilience, not just by the challenges they faced. The memories of that time lingered, a reminder of their strength and the enduring power of healing. The identification of Thomas Williams marked a turning point. They faced their fears, confronted their challenges, and emerged from the darkness, forever changed. Forgiveness took root in their hearts. It wasn't about absolving their attacker, but releasing his grip on their lives. They focused on healing and reclaiming their narratives. They became advocates for other survivors, their voices a testament to resilience. The Indiana slasher case no longer defined them. They were survivors, their spirits unbroken, their voices a testament to hope and resilience.